Hey, this is the Murder Schmurder crew. I'm Joseph.
This is Jamie.
I'm Austin.
And while we talk about a lot of crazy stuff, this episode's got some especially crazy stuff. It's got a lot of sexual violence. So this is a content warning for anyone who might have experienced that, doesn't want to hear anything, just skip to the next episode. If you've ever dealt with it, or if you are currently dealing with it, there are people you can talk to, and people care.
Look, we here at Murder Schmurder, we like to have fun, but we also like to look out for our listeners too.
Yeah.
So do with that as you will, and please enjoy the episode.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Hi, welcome back for part 2. Let's see if the boys get any less blue. Here we go.
So he was put together, had the swagger, sense of ambition. Carla saw Paul as someone who could bring her to the next level of wealth and status. And they quickly became inseparable. But again, while the outside perspective showed one thing, the relationship looked like... Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
It's all right.
But again, while to the outside perspective, the relationship looked like something out of a movie, a real-life Barbie and Ken scenario. But was brewing underneath the surface was something much more sinister than anybody could have ever imagined. Their flame only intensified after finding out that they both shared the same dark fantasies. Paul and Carla had a sadomasochistic relationship, in which Paul was the abusive master and Carla was the willing slave. The whole time Paul was going on his Scarborough rampage, not only did Carla know about it, but she also encouraged it. Eventually, after a while of dating, Carla and Paul became engaged. And again, while everything looked great on the outside, things at home really weren't as they seemed. Paul became bored of their relationship and would often complain that Carla was not a virgin before the relationship. He then turned his attention to Carla's younger sister, Tammy. And this was, once again, encouraged by Carla, who said that she would give Paul Tammy's virginity as a Christmas present.
What the fuck?
Holy
this is her
shit.
younger
This is
sister?
her younger sister.
Jesus Christ.
On December 23rd, 1990, at a Christmas party at Carla's family home, the whole family is having fun, eating dinner, having a few glasses of some Christmas cheer. And Tammy, while being the youngest, she was still allowed to have some drinks, but their
Like
parents,
a Christmas glass of wine.
But parents were like, no more than 2, right?
Sure.
But after dinner, and while the parents slept, Carla, Paul, and Tammy all continued the festivities in the basement. Carla then spikes Tammy's drinks with anesthetics that she had stolen from the animal hospital that she worked. She then
What, did they have her just put down animals with a big smile on her face? This fucking bitch.
I mean...
Jesus.
But she then holds a halothane-soaked rag over her sister's mouth while Paul and Carla take turns raping her, all the while videotaping the whole incident. Which, by the way, Paul is notorious for filming everything. He got like a camera for his birthday or Christmas something. That's all he does is record. And this is, late 80s. It was a new technology at the time.
Yeah.
So everybody was making home videos.
Big blocky fucking Japanese video camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he loved making home videos, but more on that later. Tammy begins convulsing and chokes on her own vomit. They both panic and tried to hide the evidence before calling an ambulance. Despite their efforts, Tammy never regained consciousness and was pronounced dead at the hospital. While the chemical burn around her mouth was noted, the drugs in her system were never detected, and her death was ruled an accident by the result of alcohol poisoning.
What the fuck, Canada? Come on. Yeah. All the fucking puzzle pieces are right in front of you.
Yeah. What's that red mark around her mouth?
Seriously. It's a chemical burn.
Right. Wait a minute. That's for the 4th of July. Wait a minute. This is Canada. Oh, man. So at Tammy's funeral, Paul and Carla tried to play off as completely inconsolable. Paul was seen stroking Tammy's hair as she laid in the open casket, and they both put a picture.
I was worried where you were going to go with the stroke. Paul was uncontrollably stroking.
Inconsolable right now. Give me like 15 minutes.
Rest easy, gentle angel. Honk, honk.
We could have had some fun. Never mind. Sorry, I'm not the one that should be lowering the bar here. So they were both seen putting a picture of themselves in the casket.
I hate these motherfuckers so much.
Oh, just you wait, buddy.
Oh, it doesn't turn around. It doesn't get better.
But in reality, I wish it did. I really wish it did. But in reality, Paul was shitting himself because he had been the one that had given Tammy the alcohol and was worried that he was going to get in trouble for it. Paul and Carl, I hate that their names are so similar. Paul and Carla moved into their own house in Port Deloise a month after Tammy's death, where they would reenact sexual encounters between Paul and Tammy, with Carla playing the role of Tammy.
Good God.
Oh my fucking Christ. She's like fucking... Oh.
Yeah. Carla would even wear Tammy's clothes to reinforce the fantasy.
Oh my God, man.
No. That is rough.
This escalated Paul's desire even further and made him out for blood.
This is the worst example of ride or die.
Yeah. The worst part is, I'll get to that later.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Just 6 months later, Carla and Paul have their wedding. Many of their close family began to question why they were getting married so soon after Tammy's death, and Paul's answer was, the show must go on. Because how much longer did they need to sit around and mourn? And it was an illustrious wedding. I mean, they were dressed to the nines. Carla's dress was notably not cheap. In fact, one attendee even said that the dress had been 5 times more than the car that he had bought for himself. There was 7 bridesmaids, a horse-drawn carriage. It was pretty much like a royal wedding that people kept saying.
Wow.
That same day, only 18 miles from the wedding, a couple decides to go canoeing at Lake Gibson. I think it was for like an anniversary or something. They load everything into their canoe, get some gear, some beers, and they go to find a launching point. Finally, they find the perfect spot. And as they're launching, one man spots a block of concrete about 2.5 feet from the shoreline. One of them was broken in half, and he touched it with his paddle, and he sees little droplets of blood come from the side. And when he looked inside, all he saw was pink. And what the man prayed to be a fish turned out to be a foot. The foot of missing person, Leslie Mahaffey. Leslie was just 14 years old. After a night out, she told her friends that she was heading home, but never arrived. Leslie was considered a rebellious teenager, and when she went missing, people weren't really quick to think that she had been abducted, but rather that she had likely just ran away.
Yeah.
She did in fact go home that night, but had missed her curfew that her parents had given her as a punishment, she was locked out of the house.
What?
I mean, in all fairness, like,
Small town, tough love.
Exactly.
Well, sure, but tough love is
my parents would have done this. My parents would
have.
have done the same thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like, I hate when parents do that shit because it's like, well, you gotta be tough, you gotta go, like, don't like call the cops on your kids or lock them out. It's like, fucking Christ, they're your parents.
My parents would say, this isn't it's not a hotel.
90s,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh no, I know. I mean, I got locked out too, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, I'm just like. Then shit like this happens. I hope they felt guilt about it every fucking day.
I'm sure the mother's almost inconsolable about
Good.
it. Yeah.
And we will get to that.
Yeah.
So just
Whenever you want, by the way, Austin, I'll just hand you some of his wonderful rap lyrics.
I can't believe that this is.
I say we keep that to the end.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
We'll do that.
We'll use that for bring
palate
some leverage.
cleanser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
We'll need a little palate cleanser after this for sure.
because they're really good. No, they're not.
So she was locked out of the house, and she went to a payphone to phone a friend to see if she could stay the night. The answer was no. So she walked back towards home, figuring that somebody would have to open the door eventually. And while she was walking, she was approached by a handsome, young, blonde, boy-next-door looking man who offered her a cigarette. After she accepted, she was then lured to his car, held at knife point, blindfolded, and driven to Port Deloise and drug into Paul Bernardo's basement. He tells Carla that they have a new playmate, and they proceed to film themselves as they raped and tortured Leslie. After noticing that her blindfold had slipped, they murdered her, and they later dismembered her body. encased it in 8 concrete blocks, and threw the blocks into Lake Gibson. And while they were figuring out this is fucked up. So Lake Gibson, for the people that live there know that like during this time of year, the lake will actually recede. And so if you throw anything in there,
I was just about to ask, like, how are these concrete blocks floating? But
so
no,
the lake receded and exposed these blocks.
So they're not smart enough to actually go out to the middle of the lake.
Right.
They just tossed them.
They just tossed them.
Shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Exactly.
I mean, 8 cinder blocks in the back of your car is pretty conspicuous too. I don't think these people are very smart.
right. Usually you drive around with 10.
Or 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 2 or 10,
Right.
not 8.
Right. You want to hear something really fucked up? While they were figuring out what to do with the body, they kept her in their basement. Even having dinner with Carla's family, one of the nights the body was still there.
Ooh.
God damn.
Mm-hmm. I think there was at one point, like, the family was like, "Oh, let me go grab some stuff from the basement," and he was like, "Nope,
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Yeah,
You're
I
the
got it."
guest. I'm the host.
Yeah.
No, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, sit down, have some more wine.
That was really fast and weird.
Yeah. Also, what's that smell?
Right. The dog probably shat himself. They had a dog the whole time, which apparently Paul hated, but got the dog for Carla to make him seem like he's a good husband.
Sure.
You know,
Of course, he hates dogs.
right? He didn't like that he peed. Their dogs were stinky, smelly. You know,
Sure.
which is
I don't trust people that don't like dogs.
Same.
Just can't.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
During this time, there was also another victim, only known as Jane Doe. She was a work friend of Carla's who she lured into their home as a wedding gift for Paul. They laced her drink with halcyon, pulled out the old video camera, and proceeded to film themselves with her. Only this time, the victim wakes up the next day with nausea and left without realizing that she'd even been raped. 2 months later, 2 months after they got rid of Leslie, they invited Jane Doe over again and almost had another Tammy incident. She stopped breathing while they were having their way with her, and Carla called the ambulance, but then called them off after successfully reviving her. There was no further inquiry from the responders.
You don't need us anymore?
We got it. It's all good.
All right, that's fine, Derry. Have a good night.
After this, Paul's violence escalates again, and this time towards Carla, at a level where now Paul required Carla to accompany him on his prowls, and usually at knife point. On April 16th, 1992, Paul and Carla abduct 15-year-old Kristen French as she was leaving her school, which left several witnesses. They raped and tortured her for 3 days before killing her, using the same cord they used to kill Leslie. During her captivity, Kristen was never blindfolded and was forced to consume large amounts of alcohol, watch the tape of Leslie, and act submissive towards Paul. Kristen, God bless her soul, was much more confrontational, calling him a bastard, just like his mother did.
Ooh.
And
Good
also,
for you, Kristen.
Yeah, and also saying, "I don't know how your wife can stand to be around you." She was severely beaten before her death. Again, they hold her body while they figure out what to do, have dinner with the family, and while Kristen's body...
Another dinner with the family?
Another dinner with the family, another body in the basement.
Fun pattern for them.
Right. They wash the body, shave her head, and dump the body in a ditch close to the cemetery where Leslie was buried.
They're getting lazier.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, this is kind of like where...
Starting to fall apart.
Yeah, Paul's definitely losing his mind.
Yeah.
Too much of a good thing.
Yeah. Paul...
Bar lowered?
No, bar lowered.
Bar lowered for sure.
Good job, Grant.
I didn't catch it.
Rest assured, it was lowered.
Right.
Is it said that like if he's like a heavy drinker at this point?
I mean,
or
no, it's not said
like
that he's a
drug
heavy
abuser.
drinker.
And
No.
no.
He seems like a sober asshole.
But they're just making so many lazy mistakes. That's what I'm seeing.
I think he's just a cocky asshole.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
mean, when he was kind of going through his Scarborough spree, he was very like, I'm the Scarborough rapist. Nobody's ever going to catch me.
Yeah.
He just felt like he could get away with everything.
Also, we can read his rap lyrics a little later. But
oh yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Go on.
Paul's violence has gotten to such an extreme level that now he's lost all control, like we were talking about. On December 27th, he beats Carla so severely with a flashlight that she is left with bruises all over her body, a broken rib, and 2 black eyes.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Run that by me one more time.
She's got bruises like head to toe all over her body, a broken rib, and 2 black eyes.
Damn.
And really going to put me in the position to be rooting for domestic violence, aren't you?
I mean, she deserves to get her brakes fucking broken, but like, damn.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But
Yeah,
only her, nobody
horrible.
else.
Yeah, this is a one-time domestic violence endorsement. And then someone should have turned around and done the exact same thing to Paul, and then shot both of them.
Yeah.
What's that Bill Burr bit? He's like, no fucking reason.
Really? No reason?
No reason at all. Man. So was man not the right word to use in that sense? So she tries to pass off her injuries to her friends at work as a traffic accident. None of them
God
believed.
damn.
That's a hard sell.
Right. Yeah, I rolled a car.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about the Riz on this guy, though. Like,
I mean,
He had to have been dripping.
But
I mean,
she probably drove the
had to
same
have
car
been
to
driven.
work, though.
dripping.
dripping.
Dripping with Riz.
Oh, I thought you said he had to have been driven.
Yeah, I'm sure this man can't drive. He's too busy raping.
But okay, imagine
just
like your
dripping with that
coworker
Riz.
pulls up in the same car as she normally does, and she's like, "It was a car accident." It's like, what the hell are you
Yeah, it's
talking
like,
about?
your car looks
car
okay,
looks
but
fine.
you don't.
You should see the other car.
Dude really did a number on that Buick.
Man. And once she was there, so sorry, let me back up. Say tries to pass off her injuries as a car accident. None of them believed her and insisted on taking her to the hospital. Once she was there, she admitted to having been beaten by Paul, who was then arrested. By sheer coincidence, those DNA samples that he had given 2 years earlier had finally been tested. And positively
They went.
It took them 2 fucking years to test the samples that they've had this whole time.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep. And positively,
Shit, I know it's forgetting something.
this cum looks really familiar. Positively identifying Paul Bernardo as the Scarborough rapist.
Hang on, that sexual assault task force that they put together
Yeah, specifically.
to find this one
Who
guy.
interviewed Paul twice, gave DNA to the police.
They could have just
twice.
tested him.
Exactly.
They could have just.
Just
So there was
right.
just one guy on the team. You know what?
So
Did we ever test that one guy? Remember Paul?
Paul, the one that everybody called us about.
yeah,
Good looking guy, blonde, blue eyes.
You're right. I talked to him
next,
twice.
like boy next door kind of vibes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
talked to him twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy
know how
who-
you can get lost
Did
in
you
his
take
eyes?
any DNA samples?
Yeah,
both
dreamy,
times.
dreamy eyes. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy who looks like this and they just hold up a picture of the Scarborough rapist composite?
That's him.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. What about him?
So the excuse given was that in 1990,
Yeah, what's the excuse?
I would love to hear their excuse.
the excuse given was that in 1990 there was only one qualified DNA scientist who could do the tests on all files submitted.
Okay. And what, did you do them once a year?
Right, exactly.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What are you talking about?
Right. Had the DNA been tested when given, Mahaffey and French would likely still be alive today.
Yeah.
After this, Carla moves in with her aunt and uncle out in Brampton. And then in February, she goes to the police and tells them that Paul is the Scarborough rapist and the killer of Mahaffey and French and is seeking full immunity from prosecution in exchange for her cooperation. But as we know, all things are never that simple. At this point,
They beat the brakes off her again. Please tell me that's what happened.
I wish. At this point, Paul had been charged.
Joseph, would you be on board if the cops beat her?
Again, one-time endorsement.
One time.
And be like, I mean,
At this point, Paul had been charged with 16 counts related to the Scarborough rapist investigation, but had not yet been charged for the murders of Mahaffey and French. In fact, he denies even having murdered them in the first place. And all the police have at this point is Carla's words against his. Speaking of, while cooperating with the police, she admitted to the existence of these tapes that had full details of the abuse of these kidnapped women. And a point that was made was that if you're a defense lawyer and while you're cross-examining, you would maybe ask questions like, you hate your husband, don't you? He's always been an abuser, but he may not be a murderer. You just want to put him behind bars. And also, with these tapes existing, how are you going to explain that you yourself are not responsible for the murders, right? So she's sort of like, I'm this person, I'm abused, like
I got coerced into it.
and there's these tapes, and they're like, so there's these tapes,
Right.
right?
These tapes are going to put you under.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she's
essentially saying she's a victim,
she's
just
the
like
victim.
everybody else.
Yeah, she's the
Yeah.
victim. So they finally get a warrant to search their home after Carla had mentioned these tapes, and it becomes the sole focus of their investigation to find them. Not only would it solve the case, but it would also prove Carla to be credible. Thing is, Carla doesn't know where these tapes were hidden, and after their initial search, they don't find anything. But they do get cleared for an extension of the warrant to search for an additional 2 weeks. And they tore through this house, ripping up concrete, tearing through the rafters in the garage, ripped up drainage systems, stairs, and carpets. They used UV lights to try and find traces of blood or fingerprints or cum, and still failed to find any evidence of the slain victims, let alone any videotapes. And they figured that maybe Paul had destroyed them, but they were certainly not within the home. But in any case, they do not have any forensic nor circumstantial evidence to tie Paul Bernardo to these women, at least the ones that were murdered, right?
Yeah.
And without these tapes, the entire case revolves around her testimony. And the question that keeps getting asked is why didn't anybody come to the police earlier, especially when seeing these things happen? And why can't they go forward? And they can't go forward with the prosecution because they don't really have answers to questions like, who exactly is Carla? Why was she there? And how much is this a product of Paul's coercion?
Probably has to do with the fact that they just ignored all the tips that they got in the first place. Took 2 years to take any DNA samples.
There's a lot of like, what if you just did this?
Yeah,
in this whole story.
I'm sure the Toronto Police Department deserves to get the Minneapolis.
We haven't even gotten to
by 5.
We haven't even gotten to the great Canadian justice system. So, and they went through great lengths to understand their witness prior to her taking the stand because she was vulnerable to cross-examination. She was interviewed and assessed by multiple psychiatrists, one of which said it is believed Carla was sufficiently hoodwinked and intimidated by Paul Bernardo and that she found herself in a compromising position as a result of a sequence of experiences with him that escalated. Essentially saying that Carla was compromised and did not have agency to make autonomous decisions. And the rest of these assessments all pretty much went the same way, more or less. There was also a psychopathy test. This is hilarious. Paul scores a 35 out of 40, putting him in the dangerous offender category.
That's big up there.
Yeah. Whereas Carla only scored a 5 out of 40.
That's bullshit.
And I put her in the wouldn't hurt a fly category.
No.
Which does not exist.
No.
I'm a 13, so that's just...
Is that right?
Yeah. No, I took that test. I'm a 13.
Nice.
Oh,
What's the danger territory?
It was like
12.
Above 25 or above 30, something like that.
Oh, okay.
All of this was to make the case that Carla was molded by Paul to where she was so frightened and intimidated by Paul that she couldn't come forward out of fear for her own life and even the life of her family.
Yeah.
So essentially, she knows that these tapes they haven't been found, and she's now trying to make the case of he did this, he manipulated me, molded me, and I was so scared that I couldn't come forward because.
And I have to assume, like, in the back of her head, she's just like, "Please God, I hope they don't find these tapes."
Yeah.
Well, yes. So they're making
her main argument is, I'm just a little girl.
I'm just a little girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very belittling, this whole like thing of like just leaning into the fucking like,
which
anti-woman angle of just like, she's just a little girl. She doesn't know what she's doing.
And also, if you need to, lean into it.
And it also does help that Carla, she's kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Like,
she's very
she's
attractive.
Pretty. She's like crying a lot. She's acting like she's so scared. She did get the shit beat out of her.
Right.
So like, I mean, I'm sure she's putting on the fucking
She's getting
that Oscar.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right.
So they're making this case. because while they don't have the smoking gun that is those tapes, they do have Karla Homolka and enough evidence to show that she had been beaten by Paul and that she was someone who could provide an eyewitness testimony.
Is Paul in jail at this time?
Paul is in jail at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to provide eyewitness testimony that could lead to a conviction of Paul Bernardo on first-degree murder. But here's where shit gets real fucked up. So let's go back to the end of the search of Paul and Karla's house. After the warrant had finally expired, Paul's defense team, led by his lawyer, Ken Murray, asked for access to the house in attempting to obtain whatever information was remaining. Some of the team arrive and they find full bags of papers in this music study room. And so they start going through these papers. And all have the same luck as the police did. They didn't find anything. That is until in walks lawyer Ken Murray with his own piece of paper, a paper that contains detailed instructions on where to find the tapes, written by none other than Paul Bernardo. So there was a big thing in the documentary where, you know, she's like, oh, there's these tapes, but I don't know where they are.
Right.
And Paul's like, I know where those fucking tapes are, you know, because
It literally has a treasure map.
right.
Yeah.
He drew a map. He drew a map for this lawyer. And, you know, it was said something like, you know, she's like she's mentions the tapes, but she doesn't know where they are. Paul, being the narcissist that he is like, I don't want to give up my fucking tapes, but she's got me surrounded. So he reluctantly draws this treasure map to the tapes, right? The notes lead them to a bathroom in the house. Ken gets up on the counter and begins to remove the light fixture. Once the light fixture is removed, he reaches into the hole. He reaches in. Oh, wow, I spelt hole as WHOLE. Wow. He reaches into the hole until his whole arm, that's why,
There we go.
was inside. His upper body and head parallel to the ceiling. He finally feels something and grabs it and pulls out a videotape. The first of a total of 6 videotapes found in that hole.
6
fucking tapes. They return to the office and pop in the tape. The tapes not only reveal the brutal abuse of the victims, but also the active participation of Karla Homolka. And now, the tapes not only showed the participation in the rape and death of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French, but also the participation of drugging and sexual assault of her younger sister, Tammy, turning Karla from persecuted to perpetrator, especially when the tapes show not even a hint of reluctance or passiveness from Karla. She's like into it.
Yeah.
Now they can develop a defense strategy to pin everything on her. But the inexperienced Ken Murray decides to go with a different strategy for these tapes. You're going to love this, old Joey boy. He decides that instead of turning them over as evidence, he's going to conceal them so that nobody knows that that he has them.
Oh, that's a good move.
That sounds about right for
And then
this guy.
Fantastic
when it gets,
idea. For
and
a
this is the
lawyer.
best part, because then when it gets to trial and Karla's on the witness stand, out will come the tapes.
And down goes his career.
Right.
Yeah.
See, yes, the only problem with that strategy is that, like here in the United States, go USA, Britain, and even Canada, lawyers can't conceal physical evidence, period.
Yep.
He does this all for the sake of how glorious it would be to blow up the prosecution's case.
But also blowing up the prosecution's case just shows, one, that he concealed evidence, which you absolutely can't do.
Yep.
And 2, that his client's more
Fucks his
guilty
client.
than ever.
Right.
Like,
Like,
Oh, you're a serial rapist and also a murderer.
that would be
now.
like pulling out a gun with both of their fingerprints on it and be like, this was used to kill the victim, Your Honor.
You know, the day of the court, like he's hyping himself
dude,
up.
yeah.
He's like,
He's
I'm
got
the
a Red
fucking
Bull and he's smoking
I'm the
cigarettes and he's
fucking
just like, I'm
Michael
fucking
Jordan
ready
of
to
fucking
go.
lawyers.
yeah, dude.
Like
He's trying to be
Paul's
like-
fucking sweating, like, dude, I'm gonna fucking go to prison. He's like, don't worry, I got us a smoking gun.
He's like,
I got us covered, baby.
he's like, he goes up to Paul. I'm like lawyer Chef Emerald. I'm gonna pull out these tapes, like, bam.
Wow.
Your
Shout out
Honor,
to Chef
I'm about to kick ass, so I'm gonna need you to calm down.
Another American hero, Chef Emerald.
Yeah.
God damn. This whole thing, this whole story.
But we're gonna back up again. While Carla
Is there any competent person in this entire story?
Fucking seriously.
It's like the lawyer,
I know.
the cops, the sexual assault task force, the killers, the EMT people.
Yeah, is
the
Canada
fucking-
the land of dribbling fucking morons? Like, what the fuck,
people
dude?
at the hospital. The only people who like are even semi-competent in this whole story thus far are her co-workers who are like,
Yeah.
"Damn, girl, we know
you
you're
did
fucking-"
not get hit by a car. You're going to the hospital.
Thank God they did, because otherwise, apparently, this would have just kept happening until now.
There's a lot of things that could have been stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl,
Had somebody just done their fucking job.
Seriously.
Yeah, right.
Carl, I don't want to call you a liar, but we don't believe anything that you're saying. We called the police and an ambulance. So
Yeah. They'll be here in 5. And you won't have to pay for the ambulance
No, that is true. One good thing.
because we're in Canada.
And you said we pay for our ambulances.
Goddamn right.
Suck on that, liberal.
No, I don't want free health care.
Get out my way. Oh, man. So we're going to back up again. While Carla and the police do not know about the tapes that have been found, she has admitted that these tapes exist and has put her, and then this has put her in a position to where now let me rephrase this sentence here. So she admits that these tapes exist, and they're like, well, what was on them? And she's like, oh.
So stupid.
Nothing.
And so it puts her in a position to where now she has to answer questions about what's on these tapes. Questions that, if not navigated correctly, could wind up incriminating herself. So she does offer up information.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I really don't know what you're referencing there.
it's Chappelle's show.
It's been a long time. But
It's basically the premise of the sketch is a crack dealer is treated the same as like a white collar
rich,
crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when they're asking, like, we'd like to ask you about this, I plead the fifth.
yeah, right.
But sir, we need the fifth. No, we need to know 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
I love that. So questions, if not navigated correctly, could wind up incriminating her. So she does offer up information, but only enough to stay ahead of the narrative, and so that she can tell her version of the story before the other side has a chance. So she tells the police that she was forced by Paul to have sex with him, and how she would get emotionally involved with these people and befriend them. She even tells them about Tammy, explaining about how Paul had been so persistent and thought, maybe if he just does it once, he won't bother me again. But then goes on to explain how Paul had forced her against her will to steal large doses of halothane from her work to drug Tammy to unconsciousness, and how he made her hold the soaked rag away from Tammy's face as Paul had his way with her. Do we think that the police maybe had any second guesses about the 20-year-old who offered her 15-year-old sister up to her boyfriend to be raped at the home where her sister, mother, and father were all sleeping upstairs? We don't know. But they are trying to close this case as soon as possible. And remember, up to this point, Carla's all they got. Sorry, I wanted that to escalate, but
Yeah,
I think it did a good job. But
You did a
great.
good job.
Yeah.
That's just, this whole thing
That
is
was
so
a bit.
exhausting. It's just so like, there's just so many people that just like everyone should be punished for this.
Yeah, top to bottom.
Yeah. There's not an innocent person in this except for her coworkers who just tried to help.
This single case, like somebody in the documentary said this, like it really shed all innocence that Canada ever
And
had.
think about how
Yeah.
many fucking
this
people.
was a huge blunder.
Blight for them.
Huge
Yeah,
blight for
it
them.
And think
was,
about how long this had been going on.
Yeah.
You're just finding out about this with Carla fucking Homolka.
Right.
Think about just like the decades
Yeah.
of just ignoring shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
You're making Joseph sweat.
I'm so sorry.
Joseph is perspirating right
I feel
now.
like I'm in church.
Perspiring. Like he's drippy.
I'm just so,
I'll
so
watch
hot.
I'll watch his headphones later.
Right.
It's fine.
Thank you.
So, so Carla has, as time goes on, and there's still no mention of these tapes being found, she starts to get a little bit more comfortable and gives a little bit more information about her new friend, Kristen French, and how she maybe had demanded that she had been taken care of because, oh my God, this is actually all on tape, this part here. She admits to the police that she maybe had demanded that she had been taken care of because she and Paul had to go to dinner with her family on Easter Sunday. And she said, and I quote, this is all on the video. I said, well, we have to go to my parents for Easter dinner. And Paul said, well, why don't we just not go? And I said, well, how's it going to look if this girl's missing and we have no alibi? We haven't gone anywhere. We haven't done anything. And he said, well, I guess you're right. She goes on to say, because he wanted to, so they're having this conversation, and then finally gets to a point. Because he wanted to keep her for longer, and I didn't want to. Like, I was going to work, and I didn't want to go to work knowing that this girl was in the house. She could escape so easily, and I was afraid. So I didn't suggest to him that we kill her on Sunday, but I knew she had to be gone.
Oh, you bitch! You dumb bitch!
She tells us in a
bitch.
fucking
In a recorded
interview, and they're still trying to make her out to be this victim.
Yeah.
And I've said this probably like 3 times. I'll get to that point because it's really fucked up how they try to portray this girl, only because she's their only witness.
Yeah,
right.
Because they won't do the work.
Because they won't do the work, and she's also like, hey, I'll do all this for you.
Yeah.
Right? So. Again, completely overlooked because she was their star witness, and they were so dead set on getting Paul off the street. There's another thing I wanted to mention. There's a video of Carla doing a walkthrough of the house with the police. She's deliberately dressed up as a schoolgirl, almost as if to show that she's just another victim like the schoolgirls that Paul had murdered.
Just go to hell and die.
Yeah.
Isn't this bitch like in her late 20s?
Yeah, I would say early 20s. Because Paul met her when he was like 23. She was 17.
Fucking God,
right.
man.
Paul was 28 at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's like 22.
She's like 22.
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
Who gave her the schoolgirl outfit?
She just had it.
Also, why?
It was probably Tammy's.
Oh God.
A good reference back to the moment when the parents were like, you sure you guys want to get married? Also, your little sister just died, but also you guys are way too young to get married. But seriously, your little sister just died.
They weren't way too young to get married in those days. Not in the 90s.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But still.
But I mean, 23 and 17 is still weird.
Not okay.
I mean,
Still not okay.
Did
I'm not sure how it is in Canada, but that would not be okay in the United States.
Yeah. Even down here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's not okay anywhere.
I'm just saying, like,
Legally speaking, whatever.
especially
but like,
now,
yeah,
but like-
I don't think that's all right.
I mean, I'm gonna hold true to 25. You cannot get married until you're 25 years old. All right.
That's fair.
Let your
That's
brain
when the
develop a
brain
little bit.
is done developing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it ever said like that maybe she was committing any sexual acts to any powers that be, like any police officers, lawyers, or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Never
Oh
mentioned.
no, I don't think she was
Never
ever
mentioned.
given.
Okay.
any
She wasn't
blowies
given
or
any
anything.
blowies, no handies.
No, I'm just wondering.
Not even so much as a little bat of the eye.
There's probably some eye batting.
Probably something like that.
Probably. And then, a little cute schoolgirl
Right.
outfit while she was giving the tour.
I'm just a victim. Um,
Uh-oh, my skirt.
yeah.
Maybe.
In this video, like she's on camera being like, "Where's the furniture? Has it been damaged in the investigation?" Like
This fucking bitch.
no remorse, like
Ugh.
completely detached from the situation that's going on, right? So
In her head, she thinks she's gonna walk free, right?
Yes.
because she thinks she's gonna get.
She's
full
as dumb
immunity.
as fucking Paul is.
yeah.
Okay.
So as we've established, the entire prosecution revolves around Carla's testimony against Paul, and they still don't have the tapes because Paul's lawyer has concealed them. So they go forward with making a plea bargain deal with Carla. The deal is, if she pleads guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter for Leslie and Kristen, 5 years each, and then add an additional 2 years for her sister Tammy.
2 years.
Just 2 years. That's
for
all.
Serving up her sister.
Yeah. She will get a lenient
Right, she was
sentence.
15. I mean, come on.
And so are the other two. Right.
Austin, please continue.
And she will get a lenient sentence for
Joseph, where did your shirt go?
Steamed
It's
up.
hot. It's hot in here.
Steamed.
She will get a lenient sentence for whatever involvement she may have had. And Carla will now be the crowned witness against Paul. So all in all, a total of 12 years with an eligibility for parole after 4 years. And at the very last minute, an agreement was made for a publication ban around Carla's plea deal and her involvement with the case. So the government was like, all right, like, do the plea deal, but nobody can find out about it. Or like, they don't want anybody finding out the details. All they can say, the only thing that was allowed to be reported was Carla's sentence, but not the reason for it.
How very much
Right.
like the government. To completely dick everything up and then just cover it up.
Right. But the court's
It
reason
hurt their reputation. What are you talking about?
the court's reasoning behind this was that if information had been let out for this plea bargain, Bernardo would not be able to have a fair trial. Others thought the ban was to protect the various architects of the deal, because if all the facts were revealed, there would have been outcry.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Right. Ken Murray claimed that the crown is the Canadian judicial system or whatever.
Yeah.
Claimed that the crown was doing everything that they could to protect Karla Homolka. 8 months before the trial, Ken Murray suddenly took himself off the case. Excuse me. Burpees. I'm going to read that again. 8 months before the trial, Ken Murray suddenly took himself off the case. And after talking with legal authorities and governing bodies, he was told that he needed to give the tapes to another lawyer after they found that he had been withholding the tapes for 15 months. So the case was given to defense lawyer John Rosen, who everybody in the business knew as Mr. Murder. That's
Okay.
that's his lawyer nickname. Mr.
I got
Murder.
$10 saying he was bragging to one of his lawyer buddies. He was like, guess what I got? And then his buddy was like, you did what? You fucking idiot. You turned that in today.
Right.
And then they probably made Murray the goddamn attorney general or whatever after fucking.
He did later face some prosecution for what's it called?
For withholding the evidence.
Yes, but they're
Bad lawyering.
Like a malpractice thing.
what is it?
small
What
fine.
is it?
Fucking seriously.
I'll get to it. It's somewhere in here. Obstructing justice.
Yeah.
So John Rosen, Mr. Murder, his nickname is Mr. Murder due to the amount of murder cases he had been on. More murder cases than anyone in Canada at the time. Here it is. Murray was later charged with obstruction of justice, but was acquitted.
Oh, sure. Why not? Fucking of course he was.
Joseph's having a conniption over here.
Just so fucking upset.
Like,
I'm just so upset.
you should see. I wish you could see how crossed his arms are. Right now.
His pants are off now.
Getting fucking hotter and hotter in here.
Right. After watching these tapes,
Joseph's arms are crossed like a blue collar dad seeing his son wanting to join cheer camp.
right.
Just so disappointed.
You don't want to play football, son?
Are you sure?
I'm not saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're dead to me because you're clearly looking at me in the face, but. It's like when I told my dad I didn't want to join the Navy. Anywho's,
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't be here, that's for sure. After watching these tapes, Rosen immediately hands over the tapes to the police and prosecution. Thank you, John Rosen.
Thanks, John.
You guys
And-
aren't mad at me, are you?
I swear to God, I just found out about this.
No, I mean, like, everybody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
John was like, I got to watch these for my defense. I'll give them to
Right,
you as soon as
right,
I'm done.
right.
He honestly, like, through the, like, watching the interview, like, he he really just got the fucking shit into the stick with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he had to pick up the pieces. He was the one that like ultimately had to create the entire defense against Carla and tried to convince everybody in the jury that she was, clearly involved with this, but everything was kind of too late. And we'll get to that. Fifth time I've said it.
Fourth, fifth,
Fifth. Yeah.
bleeding it.
Pleading it. Immediately hands over the tapes to the police and prosecution. And they are seeing these tapes for the first time. The prosecution is after 17 months. And now they know, the prosecution knows, that their star witness has been lying and manipulating them the whole time. Go figure. Joseph, I'm sorry. And not only about the victims Carla told them about, but also about the Jane Doe video of her work friend that she casually failed to mention in her interviews. And also that this video in particular showed that the abuse of Jane Doe was all Carla's doing. Carla was the one, not Paul, who lured her to the house, drugged her, and this was all before Paul was even home. She just had this little gift wrapped up for Paul and this happened twice.
Yeah.
Twice. They are now months away from trial, and everybody's scrambling. The prosecution is now in quite the predicament. They are in final preparations when these tapes show up. They now know who their client really is. And the question is, do they rip up the plea deal and charge Carla with sexual assault or administering noxious substance or both or a whole number of things?
Yeah.
Because if they do, they damage their own witness and their only witness. Do they do anything? They still need her to testify. Also, the tapes of Mahaffey and French did show the sexual assault of these girls, but they did not show the actual murder of the two. Mm-hmm. So that's a very clear distinction. They're like, obviously all the horrendous things that happened in that video were there, but there was no actual murder of these two individuals on these two particular tapes. So while they could absolutely charge Paul with sexual assault, they could not charge Paul with first-degree murder without the testimony of Carla. So what do? They go forward with Carla as their star witness, and how do they explain Carla's actions on the tape? They make sure she gets labeled as the victim. They bring in all the way from California some psychiatrist named Dr. Hatcher, and all of a sudden it's released that Carla suffers from memory loss due to trauma, which is why she could not recall the things such as the Jane Doe tapes.
Oh, that's convenient.
Right. So she never lied to the police because
she couldn't remember.
She couldn't remember. Right.
God, it makes me wish hell was real just for these two.
Right.
Fuck.
So we're finally at trial, and it is blown up. Everybody and their mother is watching this trial. The media is trying to get as much information as they can, despite the publication ban, and even trying to get
the government just across the border is sweating. They're like, we don't need anyone to know how bad we fucked up. Right. Don't say
and then
anything.
they look like assholes in front of the other countries.
They open up the door, and it's just fucking miles and miles of people like, what the fuck is going on? Man. So they try to get as much information as they can, despite the publication ban, even trying to get these videotapes publicly disclosed, claiming that the public had a right to know. It was decided by the judge that the tapes would only be played for the jury, and the public in the courtroom would only hear the audio, and only when a victim was on the screen. So while the jury is getting the full blunt of everything that's happening, I think they have like headphones and stuff. The only time that the people within the courtroom are experiencing anything on the tapes, it's audio only, and it's only when a victim is on the screen.
Damn.
God, that almost makes it worse.
It
to not get the full picture and to just hear that, you know?
It's pretty fucking jarring for a lot of this whole thing scarred a lot of people.
I was gonna say, I mean, the psychological impact of this thing.
There was a lot of cases of people becoming suicidal after listening to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
The way that it was described was like at one point, one of the girls like you could hear, like, it was a very intimate sound that they were hearing. Like, you could hear the bed sheets, and then you could hear her, like, in pain, and it would just get louder and louder and louder. Stop, stop, stop. And, like, obviously he wouldn't, because he's a fucking monster.
Yeah.
So the defense and the defense, you know, led by John Rosen, urged that the families of the victims be removed as to protect the image of their daughters. I mean, it was because, like, at the time, like, they were the only ones that had seen it, and they're like, you don't want to be here for this.
Yeah.
Like, please, like, hold on to the image of the daughters that you have, because
you don't need to.
You don't need this.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was the father of that,
Mm-hmm.
and I even just hearing it,
Yeah.
I'd be jumping over that goddamn pulpit and
Oh, they would have
strangling that
literally
motherfucker.
torn him apart.
Yeah.
Like, and her too, which
Yeah.
they
I mean-
should have, but also it's just like, don't subject
Oh,
yourself
absolutely.
to that.
At
You
that
don't,
point in time, especially if that's my only child, I'd go to jail for that shit. I
Absolutely.
would kill that motherfucker in front of the judge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
be like, fucking prosecute me, do whatever you want, but
Yeah.
I'm fine. This man's
lock me away.
dead
He's
on
dying
sight.
right now.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the defense urges the families. I'm not sure if most of or all of the families left, but I do know that Leslie's mother refused to leave. She was like, I'm going to hear this. And I'm not sure if that was going to give
tough
her,
lady.
I'm not sure if that was just kind of like I mean, like, how do you even like process that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
you know, like,
You gotta-
on one hand, it's like,
Some people
sure,
like closure.
sure, you would
but
never
still.
want to know. On the other hand, you're like, I have to know.
Yeah.
I could see someone thinking that, like, I have to bear witness to the pain that my child went
Sure.
through, you know? And God fucking help
I'm
that
just saying.
woman. I mean,
She-
I don't know. I don't think
It
I
was
could do it.
it was so horrible that after it was done, she had to be physically supported by her friends as she left the courtroom.
I'm not
like
surprised.
she could not walk. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And there was so much evidence on the tapes that Carla was a partner in the crimes. Even Carla's own mother went on stand that when she was on stand said that she never saw any signs of abuse from Paul, and even noted how she was independently employed and would often take vacations with her girlfriends. She was like, I can't. Her mother was essentially like, I don't want to believe that my daughter did this. I can tell you that I didn't see any abuse
Yeah.
from my side of things. She seems like she was happy. She was independently working. She was going on vacations, which is not very typical of somebody who's in an abusive relationship. Typically in those kinds
a
of
good point.
situations,
Yeah.
you know, the guy's trying to keep her as close to home as possible.
Right.
I mean, honestly, good on Carla's mom for, like, having the guts to stand up there and be like, you know, I can't reconcile this image of, like, a shattered, beaten woman
I mean,
with, like, my daughter, who I
The
can tell you from my insight was not acting like a woman who was being coerced and everything.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, like there, a lot of the images from the documentary I saw, it just looked like the whole family just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
Like it was just
Yeah,
like,
I don't blame her. I mean, she's got one left.
and like,
You know.
I think at one point, like they're asking, like they're like walking away to their cars, and the media's following them because they're
course.
buzzards, and they're like,
I mean,
"Are you happy with the
it's the media.
Are you happy with the outcome?"
Circus.
And like the dad's just like, "Yep, we're happy. Yep." Like just get out of my face. Like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Trying to save face, I guess. I don't know. But so she said that she would take vacations, and then another tape was shown in trial called the Fireside Chat. And this is the tape where Carla pretends to be Tammy just weeks after they killed her in her parents' basement.
Fuck, man.
She wears her sister's clothes, does her hair up like Tammy, talks in Tammy's voice, and essentially tries to become Tammy to satisfy Paul. And now, this is kind of towards the end. I was rushing to get through this. Paul's on the stand now, and he's asked a series of questions. This is by John Rosen. John Rosen did a great job trying to, I mean, obviously he can't defend the sexual stuff. At this point, he's just trying to get Paul off of first degree, right? Because that's the only thing that he's got going for him. That's the only thing that he can truly defend, because he's got these tapes. Everybody sees that Carla's a monster too. And so he asks Paul these questions. He says, who killed Leslie Mahaffey? Carla did. Who killed Kristen French? Carla did. Did you want to kill these girls? No. We had Leslie blindfolded and I wanted to let her go. What about Kristen? No, I was going to do the same thing with her. She had no idea where she was, but Carla wanted her dead. And so the defense was essentially making the case that Paul may be a serial rapist and a sexual sadist, but he's no murderer, right? That's all they got. That's all they can.
That's the only defense they can mount.
That's the only thing they
At the
can
end
do.
of the day, that is his job.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's a lot of good defense lawyers out there. A lot of
And you can see the remorse in this guy, like as he's being interviewed for the documentary.
Oh,
he's
the
like,
lawyer?
Yeah, he's like,
I'm sure he felt horrible about
oh,
it.
dude,
Sure.
Like,
But that's what he has to do.
the way that he describes viewing the tapes for the first time is
I bet it was horrible.
it's a very difficult documentary to get through. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
Kind of why it took me so long.
I mean, honestly, I got like really like just for for people who can't see us. I mean, there was a minute there where like when we were talking about like even just like listening to the tapes and the parents, like I mean, I almost like started crying. Like I got emotional. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine the psychic impact of all of this.
The first time I watched this, I definitely teared up
I mean, it's hard.
a bit. I say a bit, but I'm also trying to hide my masculinity.
Did the defense lawyer
cried a
retire
lot.
after this, or did he
Yeah.
keep going? Did the defense lawyer, Mr. Murder,
Uh,
did he keep going after this? Because I feel like
He didn't
taking
retire.
a sabbatical after this.
He I'm not sure if he took I'm not sure if he took time off or anything. I mean, it was definitely something that affected him for the rest of his life. You know, he's like,
Sure.
he's like, it's the one case that I always think back to. You know, it's the one thing that's always, and really for a lot of people. Anyway, finally, Carla is on the stand for cross-examination, and John Rosen lets her have it. She was noticeably caught off guard by the aggressiveness of his questions, to the point where she actually breaks out of this shell of the passive victim and actually starts pushing back at Rosen. Something that was actually kind of, it should have been fatal to her, because the more she pushed, the more people saw that she really wasn't the victim that she claimed to be. You know, if you're victim and you're getting hard pressed with these questions, like he had these pictures, and he had a picture of Tammy. He was like, "Who is this?" She was like, "That's my sister Tammy." And then he showed a picture of Tammy in her coffin, "Who is this?" She's like, "That's my sister Tammy." He's like, "Yeah, and you and he did this to her." And she was like, and she pushed her head down. She was like, "Yes." And then he tries to do the same thing with Kristen and Leslie, and she was like, "Who is this?" You know, this is Leslie and Kristen. When he gets to the point like, "And you and he killed her," and she was like, "I didn't." And he goes, "I didn't kill her." He goes, "Okay, we'll see." And then that's when he kind of goes into like these really hard pressed questions.
Yeah.
And
starts
then,
coming down on it.
right. And so, if you are a victim like that, and somebody's coming down on you like that, are you going to push back, or are you going to cry?
Right.
Are you going to cry and you're going to plead for your innocence? Right.
Yeah.
She was like, "No, you're not going to bully me around," which then should have shown everybody in that courthouse, like, maybe she's also a little manipulative herself.
Yeah.
Because if she's going to sit here and try to push back with this guy, you know, that shows that she's not somebody to be just pushed around. Right. Anyway, so this is the final thing. The jury goes into deliberation, and after, I think, a day, like a day, it was for a long time. And I think they didn't get the decision until the next morning.
Even though a day is a pretty short amount of time to deliberate.
For a case like
Which I'm
this,
sure it
yeah.
didn't take long.
I mean,
Yeah,
for a
but
case like this,
What are they trying to sink on everybody? Like,
They're trying to get.
Probably both of them.
They're
put
trying to
away for a
get
long
Paul
time.
for first degree murder for
Right.
sure. Like that's what the prosecution is actively going.
Because this
for.
is Paul's trial,
Right.
I assume.
Paul. This is Paul's trial,
Right.
and Carla is not on trial.
Right.
She's
She already
she's
accepted this deal.
She's a witness, and she's accepted this plea deal.
are they allowed to like retrial her or? Okay, cook, baby, daddy, cook for me.
After deliberation, the jury finally made their decision. Paul was found guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder, and he is given life in prison without parole for at least 25 years. And Carla, the 12 years as agreed upon the plea deal. This gives the families a lot of needed closure, but for everybody else, they would have much rather seen them locked away for good. And I say that the families would have much rather seen them locked away for good, but somebody is going to jail for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she's going to jail too, but just not as long, only 12 years.
12 years.
I know. And a reality, and this is the thing, is like, this could have absolutely been a reality that they both went to jail.
Yeah.
Had Ken Murray just handed over the fucking videotapes when he had found them. Like that is the whole thing about this case. It's like, if only somebody did this, if only somebody did that. Like,
if they had just cared.
if they exactly, like, Ken Murray wanted glory. Ken Murray wanted to be, like somebody said, the Michael Jordan of lawyers. And like, yeah, I got this thing. It's going to blow up the whole case. Let it blow it up then. You got this woman who's claiming to be this victim. You've got everything that's saying she's not. So let's put them both away and bury the fucking key under the jail. Anyways, so, and because, and hell, even right here, even the prosecution admits, had they had the tapes at the time, there would have been absolutely no plea bargain.
Yeah.
More than 300,000 people signed a petition to press charges against Carla, among other pressures. And in 1996, Justice Patrick Galligan reviews the case to see if there was any mistakes had been made. But
A couple.
I mean, like,
A couple whoopsie daisies.
he's reviewing the case. But he found that it was not in the public's interest to prosecute Karla Homolka.
Oh, is it not?
Yeah, saying that he would have done it the exact same way, and that they had to uphold the plea deal given, or else lose all future credibility with anyone who is a cooperating witness.
Ugh.
So essentially, he's trying to save face for the people that made this bullshit agreement. And
try not to set a potentially very negative precedent for the courts moving forward.
Right.
Which sucks.
It sucks
to have to do.
And there's a lawyer,
a larger indictment on the judicial system.
There's a lawyer on the
whole.
documentary
This,
throughout the whole thing, and God, this guy's awesome. He's just like, I was there. I don't know how it fucking happened. like even I wrote. He was like, even I wrote a letter to these guys saying you fucked up. Like, I don't know. he's like, I'm a lawyer too. I don't know how it happened.
So I'm just imagining Joe Pesci just screaming.
A Canadian Joe Pesci. So I also wanted to touch on this Jane Doe thing, because you remember there's the Jane Doe tapes, and Jane Doe survives. She's alive, and apparently, despite this Galligan report, he like sees that that this Jane Doe person, he sees that she never agreed with prosecutors to waive the charges against Karla. She was never consulted and was ignored by the prosecution. Ugh. Like, and for a case this huge, you would think that but it was just like when they wanted to put Paul behind bars, and they had this only one person that could do it, So like, and the lawyer in this thing goes on to say that like, this Jane Doe person could absolutely sue the government if she wanted to. Yeah. And
so do they know who the Jane Doe person is? They just didn't release her identity?
I think so. They just did not release her
identity. So there was
identity.
a surviving witness who could have placed both of them
behind bars
together. Yeah. And they've spent their whole time blowing smoke up Karla fucking Homolka's ass to make their case when they had this fucking poor woman survivor the whole time?
Yeah.
They had
Are
a
you
ringer.
fucking kidding me?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a ringer.
And she never
spit on the mic. I'm sorry.
As far as I know, she never prosecuted the government for this. I'm not sure.
Why not?
I'm just not sure if it was too big or what. Maybe she's just like, I want to be done with it. Sure. And
as traumatizing as it might be, I think I can imagine how hard it is just to try and cope the day to day.
Yeah,
and just reliving that.
And if you try to sue the government, I mean, you're going to be living in it for
a long
years.
Time.
Yeah. A long time.
Yeah.
I mean, let me finish this up. I'm actually almost done.
Go ahead.
So after 12 years, Karla's free to go, served her time, and resumes having the same rights as the rest of Canada. She moves to Quebec, where she wasn't very well known, marries this guy named Thierry Bordelais, who is the brother of her lawyer, has three children with the guy. Joseph's convulsing.
Hang on, who is this?
This guy, Thierry Bordelais.
Some dirty
no,
French
who moved to
Canadian
Quebec?
fuck.
Carla.
Carla, I
She
thought.
gets out of jail. She marries.
Sorry, I thought you were
a
talking
dude.
about Jane Doe. I was like, hey, Jane Doe's doing pretty
She
good.
marries a dude, has 3 kids.
Marries not just a dude, her lawyer's
That's
brother.
true, actually. Yeah, sorry, I buried that lead.
Right.
God damn.
Has 3 kids with the guy. And it kind of, this is kind of where like I had to trail off of a lot of the details, but essentially her neighbors in Quebec find out who she is. She gets run out of town a couple of times.
Good.
And I think she settles in Montreal right now. She's changed her name and, you know, but like a point was made was like, she has to explain to her children
Yeah.
who she is or like why they have
Why
to move
they
around.
keep skipping town.
Right. Why they have to move around a lot. So
I'm fairly certain there's an online community that is
Doxing her?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Good.
like they make a lot of effort in figuring out where she's moved to, if she's changed her name, what she's changed her name to, and like blow up her spot every time.
yeah, you might as well just move to a small island somewhere
Yeah. Or kill yourself.
or
Kill yourself is also
kill
a
yourself,
great
sure.
option.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. It's not okay. What I mean to say is that
No, it's okay for her to kill herself.
what I'm saying is that even if she didn't, you know, there's I
And the kids that she left in the wake. I mean,
that's the thing. Like, how are they going?
I don't know.
How are they going to develop?
Probably not well.
Yeah,
Better be careful or she'll serve him up to her fucking husband.
I mean, she was released in 2005, and so I'm not exactly sure how or at what point she had children, but you know,
Their
they're
kids are 100% teenagers right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably starting their own fires somewhere.
And
I don't know.
well, that or figuring out how much of a monster their mother is.
Right.
In the
Dude,
beginning
fuck
of that
the
journey.
dad, though.
Yeah.
The lawyer's brother.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
fuck is that?
What
What's
the
his deal?
What's the Thanksgiving dinner like
She's
over
fucking
there?
crazy.
She's
perfect.
hot, though.
Fuck all that.
This turkey's trussed up like my sister was.
You know what he said? I can fix her.
God.
Yeah, this is the worst case of mug shotties ever.
All right, pal. Oh, sorry. You got some left?
I was just gonna finish up. Paul tried to get parole after 25 years of prison.
Fuck
and
that guy.
After 30
Fucking
minutes
cut
of-
his dick off.
After
Seriously.
30 minutes of deliberation, he was denied, and he currently still rots in jail.
Yeah, he
Good.
does.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, palate cleanser time. I'm gonna
Put
read
him
some
in
of
like fucking
Paul's
like
fucking wonderful.
send him to
wonderful-
fucking Russia. Put him in the Russian gulag.
Dude, yeah, just fucking send him to the North Pole.
I'm a top.
Why don't
Just
we do
shoot
that?
him, just
Tie some
fucking-
seals to him.
Seriously.
So I'm gonna pass this around. I'll start. So this is some of Paul's raps.
So Paul had
So
a
this
rap
guy-
career at some point.
Yeah.
Had this guy rapped.
Oh yeah. And
What do
very
you go
well.
by? Do you know?
Hold on. Let's see.
Lil Fucky.
Deadly Innocence.
Gross.
Damn.
I hate him.
Did he do this while in jail / prison?
No. This is like when he was younger, as a teenager.
So
This
he
is one of
tried
the-
to make it as a rapper?
Yeah. And then he got into sales. This is apparently one of the things that like wooed Carla early on. Lyrics like this, like, "Hey man, you think I'm innocent, but behind this, I'm packing a lot of deadliness. So come at me, man. Take your best shot. See what happens to you, pal. You're out of here, man.
Pal.
You come at
I'm not
me.
your buddy, pal.
You come at me with your beer pot belly. You think you're really tough, man? I come back with my b-boy hat,
He's talking
looking
about
like
his
I'm
dad.
13 years old, and I'll kick your ass and fucking blow your fucking head off. I'll kill your fucking parents. I'll come after, fucking shoot your girlfriend, and fucking your sister, man. I'll fuck your sister. I'll fuck your girlfriend. I'll shoot the rest of you." And here's another one for you, Jamie.
Wow. Fucking Canadian Eminem over here.
Nah, this is like Marky Mark, Vanilla
He's,
Ice, and NWA. Like he had that all in one playlist.
A&E.
All right, this is
NWA.
I'm really bothered by him
This
using
is
the word
Jamie's
pal.
newest.
Yeah.
Here's Jamie's newest SoundCloud corner. Everybody listen.
I
up.
actually would. I have a hot take. I don't know if I should say it though.
I don't know if you should. How hot is this take?
I mean,
You're not about to say you like it.
I think
are
we
you?
are already.
I was like, what are you
We're already
about
in
to
a dark
say?
place. I do apologize for a heavy murder on the Murder Schmurder episode.
That's heavy on the murder.
Yeah,
You delivered,
we
dude.
were doing a lot of schmurder lately. I had to bring it back.
Yeah, you did. You brought it back around, dude.
It was my first episode in a while. You know, I had to-
And you fucking served it
Crushed
up,
it.
man.
swinging for the fences
All right,
over
let me-
here.
Crushed it.
Let me get some more schmurder. On a song entitled, quote, Deep in the Jungle, Bernardo writes, Deep in the jungle, a burning desire, deeper and deeper and deeper. Into her jungle, lost in the jungle, stalk like a wolf, and you are my prey. I'll be upon you by the break of the day. Fooled by the innocence I've paid throughout, laughing in your face. Got no confession, you've got no case. I throw my fist in your face. I really want him to say pal more.
He's so good, right?
How?
I'm getting the vibe
My
that
turn.
he wrote down the N-word and then he's like, nah, I can't say that.
Yeah.
Pal. Me and all my pals. I think gotta go up. I think there was only, unless Grant has more.
Did we already do I'm the solo creep? Sleep?
I'm the solo creep.
Oh, that is, yeah.
I don't need no sleep.
Which one did you do, Grant?
I did like the one towards the top. There's probably more.
Did you do did you ever get caught?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever get caught? No, never. Why? Yeah, cause I'm deadly innocent. Oh, shit. I can't rap, man.
That's okay. Neither can Paul.
No, he could not. He could not.
You don't have bars
Did you ever
like
get
Jamie.
caught? No, never. Why? Because I'm a deadly innocent guy. Do you like that? Do you like that, Carla? In the song entitled
Do you have
Beyond
to say
Fear.
it like Waterboy? Mama said.
I mean, look, it's spelled out.
He's just reading them as written, dude.
That's what it says.
I know.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
In his song entitled Beyond Fear. Girlies, they motivate, accelerate, but never dominate. Pick them up for dinner when the school is out.
Oh my God,
All right,
dude.
pass it to Joey. Let's see it.
I feel like we've read them all.
Yeah, we probably have.
That's all right.
There's
That
probably
wasn't-
more.
The people want more.
In like his office where they found all of the like papers and stuff like that. A lot of his rap lyrics were in there
They didn't put that in the documentary.
because it was too fucking funny.
Right. We found rap lyrics. I did it.
I like the idea of them finding these rap lyrics and they're like, we're going for the death penalty. Like everything else is really bad, but this pushes it over.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. This song is entitled, I think it's called Jack Tripper.
Jack Tripper. Yo, Jack Parsons, Woodford, Cushburn. Not a shook nerd. I look irked. I am not a shook nerd. Cook work. Pestilence pusher. Decapitate and laminate the heads of hookers. Rob his house. Pull the drawer string.
Go back. Laminate.
Decapitate and laminate the heads of hookers. Rob his house. Pull the drawer string of the hood first. Climb master stock and pull doper than Bronx junkies. When I pop these blues, need to be medicated. My head is like romper room. I've been writing rap since Rocky 2.
Hell yeah.
Hold on, when did that movie come out?
Been spitting since my Uncle Vincent was on a bridge giving fittings for cement, blocks his shoes. Ox chop your throat, cop shot for dough. My trunk sagging, bump a dragon. We copped a lot of chrome.
1979, Rocky 2.
Our drive-bys will drop top your home. Guzzle roids down. I'm raping your squeezes moist mouth. Fuck, man. My room sopping,
Joseph.
my room sopping, moist towels, toys out. My camp open fire like Boy Scouts. Smoke your Rolls Royce out. I'm starving. I should be giving gones pounds. Yo.
You know, that might be his hardest set of bars, other than the voids and the mouth part.
That hurt to read.
Hang on, can I read it? I was really enjoying that, actually.
Which one?
The one that Joey just
Joseph.
read.
Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
We don't need to read it again.
Jamie's like, can I take these?
Can this be my next SoundCloud corner? It's just improving upon Paul's rhymes.
Just stealing straight lines.
What is this, Paul's Boutique? Fuck this.
Oh, God.
Decapitate and laminate the heads of hookers. Sorry, I don't know why. I think it's the.
Yeah,
It's
song
funny,
to that.
like
It's
you know,
funny-
like in cartoons when like
When they,
when they put the laundry through the thing.
Yeah, and it like stretches it out. Yeah.
And they would did that to like Bugs Bunny one time.
Yeah, and it like flatten them out and shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Well, I really hope Paul is having the nastiest UTI combination staph infection right up his fucking dick hole.
They keep him separate from the other inmates. There's been several times where everybody else has tried to kill him.
Oh, you don't say. I can't imagine why.
There's been,
He walks in, hey guys, how's it going?
Just
In fact,
instant stab.
I forgot to mention this, but apparently there was even like a prison riot to try to get this guy. Like,
That must have been a fun ass day for all
Dude,
the
honestly, just everyone kind of coming together and being like, "You want to kill Paul?" It's
Let's
like, I would
kill
love to kill Paul.
oh, the guard's like, oh shit, eh?
Oh boy, I better go put on the hockey pads.
It's funny you say about the music room, because it wasn't just like one bag of paper. It was like several bags of papers. So I'm wondering if I just wonder if there was just like one giant paper trash bag full of rap lyrics.
Yeah, probably.
Like the one
I'm
lawyer,
the dopest boy that you've ever doped, pal. Damn it, that's not good.
some lawyer's just going through all the paperwork. Like, what do you find? Flap lyrics.
It's just terrible.
Nothing good.
This book is 3,000 pages and it's all rap lyrics.
And they suck, sir.
Your Honor, he sucks.
I wish I could say that it got better throughout the book, but they don't. He says consistently the same level of suck.
He just keeps rhyming pal with pal. It's A-B, all over the place. Come on, man.
Well, this has been a very long episode, even for a two-parter. So,
I thought it was worth every second.
Is it
of
a
I loved
two-parter?
it. Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Austin's first two-parter, everybody.
Yeah, baby.
Great job, Austin.
You brought it, dude.
Fantastic job.
You
Sir.
like it?
Applause to
I
you.
worked really hard on it.
It shows, man. You did a good job.
I read like 2 articles and
I watched the whole movie.
there was a 4-part series. If you guys really want a really good detailed version of this, I highly recommend the Ken and Barbie Killers on HBO. Pretty much everything I found was in that, but you know, they do a lot more with me, and there's pictures, so it's a lot
There
more
we go.
entertaining.
I bet
Not
it's not.
not
I bet
more
it's not.
not more entertaining than us, but I mean, like, you know, if you're visually stimulated like I am,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, I'm not your buddy, pal.
I'm not your pal, buddy.
I'm not your buddy, guy.
I'm not your guy, friend.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Like what you hear? Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Trashville_USA. And if there's a true crime story you want the gang to cover, email us at don'temailtrashville@gmail.com. Murder Schmurder is produced by Jamie. Our tracking engineer is Grant. And our mix and mastering engineer is Julie. Incidental music and our theme song is provided by Jules. This has been another production of